Hi, everybody. Alan Arnett here with another podcast and a blog on alanarnett.com. It is Monday, September 30th, and this is the second part in my series on the seven summits. Sorry, it's supposed to come out last week, but I had some technical problems with the website, but here I am today. Today, we're going to talk about the lowest of the seven summits, or eight summits, or nine summits, however you want to count them, but it's in Australia. And the best part of this mountain is how I pronounce it. I normally call it Kosciuszko, but I have been corrected after my introduction, and now it is Kosciuszko, Kozko, Kozogogo, Ko. So I'm just going to call it Cozy. So, all right. So here we go, folks. So Cozy is located in the Snowy Mountains. It's the lowest of the seven summits, but it's one that I think a lot of people really enjoy going to because that part of Australia is just absolutely stunning. I was able to summit it as the last of my seven summits, and I did it after going to Carson's Pyramid in New Guinea, and then I flew into Sydney and then drove on down to Melbourne and down to the ski resort, and then I climbed it from there. So it was a fantastic experience. It was a great way for me to wrap up my seven summits. It's like all things in mountaineering, there seems to be everything has a controversy these days, and that's the controversy between Cozy and Karstens is that which one is actually the highest in Oceania. So, one way to look at it is that Oceania is really almost like a tectonic plate, and it encompasses all the way from New Guinea to New Zealand to Australia, not to mention a whole lot of other sub islands and large land masses in that whole part of the world. So when Dick Bass he came up with the idea to climb the highest in the seven summits, he selected Cozy as the highest in Australia, and at that time he viewed that Australia was the only quote unquote true continent. So let me go ahead and acknowledge that I have received a lot of messages from the very proud Kiwis saying that they believe that New Zealand is also a continent. They've even shown me Wikipedia pages to that effect, and I'm very happy for you. But I'm just a lowly blogger and mountain climber, not a geography major or a cartographer. So I'm going to leave it to you guys to fight it out with the rest of the world as to what's a continent and what's not. In any event, Bass, he did summit it, and then Canadian Patrick Morrow, he decided that Karstens was really higher than Cozy, so he climbed it. And then Reinhold Messner, he also did Karstens. They did this back in 1986, and so there became two lists: the Bass list and the Messner list. It technically should be the Morrow list because he's the one that really identified Karstens first. But nonetheless, there's two lists today, and most people, when they try to climb the seven summits, actually will go ahead and get both of them. So they'll complete eight of the seven summits. We'll talk about Mont Blanc in the next episode. So maybe there's actually nine seven summits. I digress. So, Cozy, it was named after a just a very learned gentleman. He was, I could, good luck on letting me pronounce his name. He was a Polish military engineer and a statesman. He was a military leader, became a national hero in Poland, the United States, Lithuania, and Belarus. He fought in the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth struggles against Russia and Prussia on the U.S. side in the American Revolutionary War. But nonetheless, Andres Tadzu, oh my gosh, Bona Wintura Kosciuszko. Oh, there's Marley saying hello to everybody. Thank goodness Marley's bark stopped me from butchering any more names in the great country from Poland. So I'm going to continue to discuss climbing Cozy. So let's talk about, in addition to the name, and then the controversy about whether it's one of the seven summits or not, there's actually the difficulty. And this becomes actually, I think, a reasonable discussion to have. Overall, it's not that high. It's about 7,300 feet. or 2,228 meters. So clearly, it's not in the same league as like a Denali or an Aconcagua or an Everest. So we'll get to how you pronounce that later on too in this series. Nonetheless, it is still it's a challenge, and there have been people who have died climbing it. Mostly in the winter. It can be climbed year round, but some months are better than others, such as December through February, and also March and April. And October and November is pretty good as well. But if you're there in the wintertime when you've got whiteouts and high winds, then it'll test your mettle. You'll need to have full on expedition clothing with snowshoes and the whole bit. So four snowboarders were caught in a climbing accident back in 1999 in an unexpected storm. They lost their lives when actually built a snow cave near Cozy, but they passed away nonetheless. Their bodies were found that next August. And then in 1928, so going way back when, there were a couple of gentlemen that also, they left from Charlotte's Pass, which is one of the two major routes to go there. And then in 2022, a backcountry skier died in the park. So, like all mountains, none of them should be taken for granted. And, all of them should be treated with respect and dignity. And do not commit the greatest sin that a climber or a hiker that can make. And that's the sin of arrogance, where you overestimate your capability and underestimate the difficulty of the mountain, especially when you're climbing it in off-season conditions or on perhaps a new route or something like that. So speaking of routes, there's really two primary routes to get to Cozy. The most popular one starts at oh my gosh, my Australian friends are going to kill me for this. It's the Thredabo Alpine Village. That's the last time I'm going to try that. In other words, it's a ski resort. And you take the chairlift up and you begin an 8-mile round trip on the Cozy Walk. It's also called the Summit Walk. And that's the one that I took. And, and you follow a metal walkway that's designed to protect the fragile tundra of the alpine environment in that part of Australia. It's a very gentle trail. Like I said, it's 8 miles. You only gain about 1,000 feet, about 300 meters. But once you get there, there's a big, huge, I guess it's a monument or a stone that you can actually stand on top of, which is what I did, and had my picture taken on top of it. I hope that's not disrespectful. But nonetheless, it's a beautiful, beautiful area, just an awesome walk. And there were tons of people up there all enjoying walking it. So it was almost like a party environment. In fact, there was a group of young people there that were making the walk, and they were all celebrating and laughing and just having a great time once they reached the summit. The other popular route to take, well, actually, it's not as popular, but it's an 11.6-mile round trip from Charlotte's Pass. Now, you actually are on a road or on a trail that was designed to be driven on, so the angle is pretty modest. It crosses Rawson's Pass, then it intersects with the traditional main trail. A little bit more of a gay. It's about 1,275 feet instead of the 991 for the normal route. So just a smidge more, a smidge longer, and probably a smidge less crowded. So if you want to get off the beaten path, that perhaps is a better way to go. Nonetheless, I think Cozy is a great, great representative for the Seven Summits. Very happy that I did it. I just, love being in Australia. I've been fortunate enough to visit there a few times, both for pleasure and for business. Love the entire country. I've never made it out to the West Coast, out to Perth in that area, but I'd love to do that one day. So that really wraps it up on Cozy. The next of the 7 summits that we're going to talk about is going to be Mont Blanc. And I know people have already written me and saying, Alan, the Mont Blanc's not a 7 summit. You're crazy. You don't know what you're talking about. Well, I guess you're going to have to tune in for the next episode to see if I do or I don't. Climb on. This is Alan. And remember, memories are everything.